Health. Woohoo. Thank you. Ah, I love it. So with the Health Point timeline, like most of you have probably seen what I've done at Health Point. If you haven't, it's a really good function to go to. But at this time of year, like you've already heard Ken talk about, I think you mentioned it here today about how a lot of he had a big business that he's just developed to 21% that's come out of health. Trust me, that's come out of health because they had the right thinking to take the people through the process to give them the bigger picture of what exactly they're attached to. And we all know that having people in the functions and having people connected to the audios with their health is absolutely the number one thing anyway. So I've done a lot of health plans which, you know, I didn't necessarily do right by them from the beginning and try and connect them as well to that as I wanted to, or have as enough posture on it. And what does it create? Honestly, it creates a lot of time spent measuring people. Which is fine, but also, you know, if they're not connected to the environment, we know the people that use a lot of the products are the 45s, the 10s. Or you know what I mean by that? You know, a lot of the people that are coming to the environment and that are working the business. And so, you know, the ongoing turnover, even just that, is connecting people to the environment properly. For them to have long-term results on Health Point, we are the connector, we're not the magic. We cannot long-term be their one-on-one coach. It just doesn't work. We don't have enough time. So, you know, from the beginning, the number one thing I want to connect them to is the environment. And so I always start with a story. So if you don't have a story, like a Health Point story like I do, get a story. Now, I don't mean go and get fat if you're not. I mean, like... and then lose it again. What I mean is use my story, use anyone's story. We're all connected to amazing stories in here where you can leverage that, or people in the team. So anyway, so when I start a, where am I, Health Point timeline. So I always say the same wording. I'm sorry it's so messy. I always say the same wording. Hey, you know, what I see, you know, obviously today, we are here to chat about a health program, and honestly, I'm super passionate about it because it's the only program out there that I've seen that is about optimal health and long-term results, okay? And I'm just love to do a diagram with you that was done with me when I was first looking at this program that was an absolute game changer in regards to my health, because for me, and I just go into a little bit of my story. So that's where I would get a story. I would say, for me, like I tried a lot of programs and out there, and I sometimes I'd lose weight, but all the time I'd put the weight back on. And this is the only thing for me that I have had long-term health. So, you know, you can say this is the only thing I've ever seen for people and that have long-term health. And I say, so, you know, it's 2018. You know, and obviously, I don't know about, and I say I don't know about you, but when I first sat down and looked at this, this is a 10-year timeline. Have you done one before? And they'll either say yes or no. I say, I don't know what you're thinking, but when I first saw this, I wasn't thinking 10 years ahead. I was thinking, I want to lose weight now. Like I was going on a holiday. I had a lot of health things, but it was an immediate result that I want. So I know that what you're going to want to talk to me about today is, you know, short term. But what I learnt was that for this to be a long-term maintainable lifestyle change for you, which is what this program offers, is that you need to have a bigger picture of what you want your health to be like. Once you get there, you need to have movable goals. And, you know, my goal for you is that I'm able to help you, that this is the last program that you ever do. That I'm able to help you and equip you with the right environment and the right habits to make this long-term and you're a changed person, because that's what was done for me. So then I asked them their age, and normally I say, so you are here. Because I will come back to a point of this being a major decision of them getting connected to the functions and audios, okay? So I say, you are here. Your age in 10. And I just say to them, okay, so tell me a little bit about why you're here now, because they want to talk about, you know, oh, I want to lose weight and all of that sort of stuff. So I actually do this backwards. I don't build the dream first and bring it back. I want them to unpack what they're feeling about now. So, you know, I want to lose weight. I want to, you know, lose 10 kilos. And so here is where I want to get very emotive with them. I say, well, why do you want to lose 10 kilos? What does that mean for you? Is it that you want to look good in a dress? Are you going on a holiday? Is it, you know, what is it for you? And they tell me about that. And I say, tell me about your energy levels. You know, is that something that you want to deal with? Yes, blah, blah, blah. What about stress levels? And I deliberately ask about stress levels all the time, okay? Because heaps of people are stressed and heaps of people are unhealthy because their lifestyle is not good. They're in that urgent and important lifestyle, okay? So I deliberately ask that so I can talk about it later. So that's where I say that. I say, great. So, you know, you know, and what kind of time frame do you want to achieve that in? Okay, so whatever that is, I say, so in 6 or 12 months from now, whatever, let's say it's in 12 months from now, we're sitting here and have a coffee. My main goal for you is that we achieve that. Okay, but once we've achieved that, tell me about what you want to do then. Like, if you can see that you've got the weight off, if you can see that your gout is gone, you can see that you know, whatever, your energy levels are up, what would you do with that? Okay. And so I really stick with this because people are emotional about those sorts of feelings. Okay, I find that it works really well. And I just say, in 10 years from now, you know, you're going to be 50. Tell me how important it is for you to, you know, have you got any chronic disease in your history that you need to be thinking about preventing? Because people can, well, no matter how old they are, they can understand that in 10 years they're going to be closer to that kind of path if they're not focusing on it. So I just say to them, hey, so here's what I was told, was that, you know, you've got a positive curve or a negative curve. Most of us feel like we're on this straight path, and but it doesn't exist. It does it. In 10 years from now, you're either going to be on the positive curve or the negative curve towards your health. And genuinely, right now, tell me which path you feel like you're on. Because 99 times out of 100, they say that one. Okay? And so that's where I say, that's fine. You know, out of here today, you know, what I'm going to say to you is, let's, you know, we've got a program that lasts for that's a 6-week cycle. And I'm going to say to you, out of here, let's give it a 12-week minimum commitment to be able to do that back to back. And I'm going to go through the program with you. But I'm committed to you for that because I know that that's 90 days to form a habit, and that would be a really good thing to do. But there's some unobvious reasons as to why we're here. You know, and I told you are here, and I just want to ask you a little bit about that that process there. You know, the last 10 years, would you feel like that you've been on a bit of a positive, you know, your health and decisions and your compound choices have been on a positive curve or a negative curve? And sometimes I say, you can understand, like, if I had a cheeseburger a day and you had a salad a day, in 10 years time you're going to be healthier than me, or even 12 months, right? And so then I bring it back here and I say, so what would you say where your decisions have been? And they're normally silent. And I just say, oh, do you feel like it's a bit up and down? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. I say, so would you agree that, you know, what brings you here today, why you're not happy, is a lot to do with some of the decisions and thinking that have brought you here? And they say yes. And I say, the reason I highlight that is because I talked about 12 weeks. There's going to be some unobvious things that you might even think that I'm going to ask you to do, but the number one thing that's going to help you go towards your health as opposed to away is the mindset, because you have either succeeded or failed before in your mind, before in your body, or in your decisions. So, you know, I do not charge anything for my time to coach you. But what I do ask you to do is leverage some of the environments and some of the thinking that we've got and invest it back into yourself. And I'm going to ask you for your minimum commitment to do that over the next 12 weeks. And if you do that, 100% of my time and effort will be focused to get you to that goal. And that's how I do it. If it's a launch, I do it a little bit more generic talking, just a bit about the positive and negative, the compound effect. But I put ages from 20 to 80. From here, and some of you that have been at Health Point will have seen where I put, I'm so awkward up here. I have to practice at home. Okay, so this is where I put the ages here, 20 down to 80, and then obviously on from 30 to 90. And that's where I just chat a little bit about each 10 year. And I say, hey, so, there'll be some people here, 20 to 30, health decisions there, like what happens. There's some major things that happen there. One is that you've moved out of home primarily and you start to feed yourself. So, there's either some positive or negatives there. Over here in the next 10 years, 30 to 40, what happens? There's a lot of financial stress. You want to buy a house, you have kids. Sorry, and the stress thing I talk about here is, I'll come back to that. I didn't answer that, did I? I'm so sorry. And so a lot of financial stress in that timeline. 40 to 50, you're you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm getting a bit older, and you're starting to think about, some of the things you want to prevent. You're starting to think about prevention. And, so beyond that, like you're obviously feeling like you want to have quality of life, And so I just kind of try and talk around that just to try and hit everybody there. And again, like the close of the launch for the compound effect timeline, I just say, hey, out of here, obviously everyone's got a personal situation, and I just want you to think about what you're connected to, and then afterwards we'll come around for a personal chat. You'll have some questions. I'll be able to chat to you about that. So sorry, I will jump back here, and I just said that I mentioned deliberately I ask about stress. So once I say to them that I want them the 12-month commitment, the other thing I say to them is, the only other thing I ask for is your personal referral. If we give you results, that you will pay this forward, because it is the only way that we can get in front of and help other people. And there's probably some people you're thinking about now that you already affect health-wise, like older people, younger people, and within that time, stress is often caused a lot by time and money being so hard and hard right now. So within that, I'd love to show you also just really passively on how you can benefit from that as well. And I quickly invite them into a business preview. That's my goal. From 1 to 2 weeks max is my goal. And if not, I'll get in front of them and draw it out. So that's the health timeline. And the last one is talking about connecting with people in the team, and that is the touch point timeline. And this is really just a loaded timeline. There's no drawing needed, thank goodness. But this is just loaded. This is just where we hear about calling into functions, okay? And we've got such a major opportunity right now. Well, 2 major opportunities. Do you know anyone in Sydney to go and see Drew and Serena this week that you can say, hey, these guys are in our arena. They're like professional. They've set up a massive business up here. But even still in the corporate arena, they've got major results, and they're just going to have a real goal-setting mindset on, what could potentially be beneficial for people in 2019. Who could you send along to see them? It's on a Wednesday next week, right? But then we've got Suha Evrim. Who's seen Suha? I mean, is he not the best person just to get anybody in the room? But sometimes it's fear. It's fear calling people over and over, or it's that you haven't called them in a long time. And this is just where if you write the list of people that you want to call and then emotionally just think through every one of them, and if you've done a timeline with them, get connected to what they told you that they want. You've got to bank these timelines that you go and sit with people, because, all I want people to know is that I will give up on them after they give up on themselves. And I feel like I'm always doing right by them, whether they're here or whether they're not here, because I will always welcome them and I always help them. But the only way they know that is if we get back and connect with them and try and bring them back into the environment. And so it's a really easy time right now to do a bunch of calls, 20, 40, 50? I don't know, stop nods when I can say enough. But my point is that, use it as fuel. Use your timeline and why you're doing it as fuel, and then use their timeline as why you're doing it for fuel for them. And you can just say something really generic like I just spoke about. Hey, Suha, Suha, did you get to see him when he came out last time? No? Yes? No? Great. Either way, it doesn't matter, He's really an amazing speaker, and when we saw him, is so sanguine, but he's also very deliberate on talking around goals, and just this time of year, he'd be a great one for you to come in. And so if you can get them there, great. And guess what I would do? I'd chat to them about their timeline and just say, hey, so, how's it going? I'm working on being a full-time mum. Like, are you on the positive curve or on the negative curve? Anyway, I know the answer. They might go, oh, yeah, I'm not sure if it's that important, or they might buy, yeah, you know, like it's really not great or whatever. If you don't get them to the function, the quick turnaround and trying to get in their home and say, hey, it's a shame you can't come, but it'd be really great to catch up. Do you want to grab a 20-minute coffee this week? You know, and the right ones that you've built rapport with and deliberate or might be looking will say yes. But it's the consistency of doing that. Every time we call them and they say no, it's the deliberate consistency that they know we care. Some of them might think we're annoying, too bad. You've got to think you know and you care about their timeline. So that's how I would use the touch point timeline. So that's pretty much all my drawing and timelines for today. I really hope that's helped.